Are you dreaming of crafting a space career that you love?
If you could design your career to look like anything, what would it look like? What would be important to you? You see, I don't work 40 hours a week stuck in an office. Oh no, I don't even work 40 hours a week. I get to work from essentially anywhere and spend my time with my kids throughout the week. I work maybe 20 to 30 hours, and this is the way I've designed my career, running my own business. I even work here from this barn. Now, I don't ride, but my kids do. And so we come here every Tuesday. I also can choose to work or not on my phone. Just now I took a call from a journalist because I wanted to. So it's really the freedom that I have to work from anywhere.
When I was in grad school, I had an advisor who had my whole life planned out for me, regardless of what I thought. So she decided that she was going to train me to be her replacement, the mini her. And that included working with colleagues overseas in Europe. And it really didn't matter to her what I wanted to do with my life. In fact, she actively discouraged me from pursuing things that I was interested in because she was so focused on making me into somebody who I was not. Even though advice may be well-intentioned, it may not be good for you. It was not good for me to follow in her footsteps. For one thing, the kind of research that we were doing was really cool in theory, but I decided that I did not want to be a computer programmer in any aspect of my career. So here I was, an astrophysicist, learning that so much of astrophysics is computer coding, and I hated it with a passion. And so why would I want to dedicate my career to doing something like that? Also, she decided that I was going to move overseas after I graduated with my PhD. She already had a postdoc lined up for me that I did not want or ask for. I was actually dating someone in the United States who I was planning to marry. We did not marry. I dodged a bullet there. Even though her advice and her intentions were good, they were wrong for me. And I was right not to take them. In fact, she gave me an ultimatum. It's my way or the highway. And I chose the highway because I knew I needed to be true to myself. And so do you. Another example of this came after I decided to take the highway and leave that graduate program and try to find my way into another PhD program. I was given the advice by a mentor that I should actually forget about my PhD in astrophysics and instead pursue an MBA, a master's in business administration. And at that time, I had no intention of starting my own business. It's funny how things work out. I had no intention of going into business. So I was like, no, I'm a scientist. I'm a scientist at my core. So why would I forget about my PhD in science and go after MBA? He meant it in all sincerity and all good intentions, but it was the wrong advice for me. There was one time I was in my 20s. I was at a space event on the Space Coast of Florida, and I met the mayor of that town who was really impressed by me. And he gave me the advice of don't ever marry and have children. And this advice came out of nowhere, and I had already wanted to get married and have children. That was part of my long-term goals. And so I completely ignored that advice. I still did amazing, cool space things. And now I have 5 children. Early in graduate school, I had a complete stranger tell me that I would change my mind when I told her that I did not want to become a professor when I graduated. Yeah, no, don't presume to tell other people what they want or don't want. But I digress. I want to talk about pivoting. It is quite okay to change your mind. So I could have changed my mind and decided I wanted to become a professor, but no, sorry. And so I will tell you that it was a long journey for me to figure out what I wanted to do with a PhD education to the point where I was all but dissertation. So I had passed all of my classes. I had passed all of my exams. I had done a significant amount of research. I was writing up the dissertation, the boring document that no one will ever read. And that is when I got a full-time job working at the ISS National Laboratory. I decided to try to finish my PhD while working full-time. Didn't work out. I pivoted. It had been over a decade of me working towards this PhD, and I pivoted because it no longer served me. So you really have to take stock in the direction you're going in and decide if that is the direction that you truly are meant to go in, or if there's some other path that might be better for you. Sunk cost is when you've already put in money that has already been incurred and you can't get it back. And the sunk cost fallacy is when you continue to go down a path that no longer serves you. And so what you want to do is forget about all of the time and effort and resources you put into a path that no longer serves you. you and instead figure out the path that is more true to you. So all of those years of putting in the work toward a PhD education in physics and astrophysics and planetary science, that was a lot of effort and a lot of time. And I pivoted away. So I still do science, but I also do a lot of other things. All of that education was not wasted. Sure, I no longer work with matrices or higher mathematics, but it did teach me so many things along the way, including critical thinking skills, including the fact that I am not intimidated by technical subjects. I know that I can learn whatever it is I need to learn. And so it really did serve me to be on that path at that time, but it no longer served me to continue on in the PhD path that I was on. So really figuring out, where are you going, and do you want to stay on that path, or is there another option for you that might be even better? And forgetting about the past, because that's already taken care of. The only thing you can change is the present and the future. I have a bit of a confession to make. I was asked early in my business by a colleague why I didn't travel to go to conferences much. And I loved traveling in my 20s. When I started my company, when I was in my 30s and a mother, I decided I did not want to travel as much. My priorities changed. And she assumed that it was because my new business was not making enough money for me to put in a travel budget. And she wasn't wrong in the sense that, yes, my business was new and it didn't have the kind of revenue that it does today. So I agreed with her, but it was lying by admission. The truth is, I did have enough revenue to travel more if I wanted to go to conferences, but honestly, my priorities had changed, and I had decided that I was going to prioritize my young children at home, especially since several of them are disabled, and therefore they require a lot more care. And so for me to pick up and travel, which I still do, I still travel several times a year, but it is a lot more difficult and it's a lot more strain on my husband and my children when I leave. Somebody else, probably a lot of you watching, define success in business as traveling the world, and actually I used to as well. I used to want to be the kind of person who traveled all the time to really exotic places and talking about space and doing great space things. And I still do that, but I'm now very selective in where I go and for what reasons. You have to define success for yourself. And even though I just told you that you have to define success for yourself, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Oxford Languages defines success as the accomplishment of an aim or a purpose. And each person's purpose is different. Your purpose is going to be different from my purpose. So your purpose might be to do things that define success in a way that is unusual or uncommon or countercultural or against what your family might think. Who's to say that they are right and you are wrong? Only you can define what your purpose is and what success measures you measure by. This, by the way, is not a dictionary, although it is a pretty cool little NASA booklet. You are unique. So your purpose is unique and your goals are unique to you. And only you can define what that means for your career and for your life.
Well, I've almost set up my career the way I wanted. I would love to move back to Florida, where I very rarely wear jackets and where I can see rocket launches in person and go to the beach. And so I am hoping and praying and putting out in the universe, manifesting and saving money in a high yield savings fund for moving costs, that we will be able to move back to Florida hopefully next year. Come on, interest rates, come on and go lower.
I want you to do a gut check. I want you to ask yourself, if this was an ideal life, what path would I choose? Or since it's not an ideal life, given the choice between two non-ideal choices, which one would you prefer to work towards? Which one serves you better? Which one is truer to you? Whatever you do, keep growing. You really never know how things are going to turn out. I did not plan the fact that I would be running my own business, doing really amazing space stuff from the comfort of my own home with 5 children. I did not plan that, but it worked out so well. However, along the way, I had to learn how to run a business, how to manage a team, how to get sales, and I was really stuck on that one. I actually hated sales, and so I invested the time and the money to go through sales training because I hated sales so much. When you are stuck on something, when something is holding you back, where can you invest? What actions can you take to get better and keep on growing personally and professionally? And also, what are you waiting for? This is the life that you have. Go live it. Go live it to the fullest extent. That is what I charge you with as you end this video. And if I can help, please reach out to me at lauraforsick.com and I'm happy to help.